group of death. Group of death. Not for Newcastle United. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Zekko Football Channel. Newcastle United have thumped Paris Saint-Germain by 4-1, and today we're going to be diving down into it. We're going to be breaking down what on earth has gone on this crazy European night. We're going to be diving into some stats, and then we're going to be having a look at some match moments. If you are new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, you like the video, and you turn on those notifications. It really does help me out. Right, let's get into it. A fantastic European night, one with drama, intensity, passion, and Newcastle took PSG to the cleaners. They absolutely thumped them. But there are so many different things to talk about. We're going to be going into some of the stats and talking a little bit about that before we head into the match moments. But 4-1. The attacking momentum bar is all over the place. Newcastle, PSG had so much possession, and that's where we're going to start with. We're going to have a look at some of the stats, then come back up and have a look at some of the player positions, because PSG had 73% possession against Newcastle's 27, but Newcastle had 8 shots on target, 12 total shots. PSG only had 2 shots on target the entire 90 minutes. Kylian Mbappe left to essentially twiddle his thumbs. Moani out on this left-hand side did pretty much nothing. Ousmane Dembélé did an okay job out on this right-hand side against Dan Burn, but even he managed to get the better of the French international. It was a night to remember for Newcastle fans, and we're going to have a look at the average positions now, because what I was so impressed with from a Newcastle point of view was the bravery. The ability for them to push up the line, keep that extremely high line, but at the same time, Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon, the likes of Sandro Tonali and Almiron dropping back a little bit, and that meant that the distance between the defence and the attack was so condensed, and it meant that PSG just failed to play through. The intensity of Newcastle moving both forward up the pitch and then back was always together. The unity in this squad is unbelievable, and that meant that PSG failed to play through them. It forced them to go long, and even then Newcastle managed to intercept the ball. And if we have a look at PSG, look at how open they are. Look at how diverse they are. Yes, Mbappe is leading the line. Yes, they have the likes of Ousmane Dembélé. Yes, Gonzalo Ramos, who is one of the up-and-coming strikers in the world, is in this side, but they had no cohesion. They had no idea on how to play through this Newcastle United side. They didn't match the intensity, they didn't match the work rate, and in the end, they fell so very short. Let's have a look at a couple more stats, because Newcastle won all of their duels. They were fantastic. Not all of them, of course, but they won more duels. They won more aerial duels. 12-2. The height and the presence in this Newcastle United side was there to behold as well. Accurate passes, yes, they were low, but their actual dynamism in front of goal, their ability to take chances, and their sheer pressure on this Paris Saint-Germain team was absolutely sensational. I do not have enough good things to say about this Newcastle United team. Fabian Schär getting on the score sheet, Dan Burn getting on the score sheet, Sean Longstaff with the decoy late runs through that heart of the PSG attack, and then, of course, Miguel Almiron getting on the score sheet to open the scoring for Newcastle. I thought Alexander Isak really did lead the line extremely well, and Anthony Gordon, with his presence, with his pressing, with his ability and backup from Sandro Tonali, the entire Newcastle team did a fantastic job. PSG were terrible, but I think they were terrible because of how good Newcastle were. It was a night to remember, one of European brilliance, and a true European masterclass from Newcastle. Let's now have a look at some in-match moments. I want to highlight Newcastle just a little bit more, but also how they exploited PSG. This is the first moment. It's just before the first goal. And what I want to highlight here is a couple of things. First of all, look how many Newcastle players are actually in the PSG half pressing forwards. Almiron is out of picture currently, but he's also pressing forwards. You have Bruno Guimaraes here, you have Sean Longstaff, obviously Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak, and then just down at the bottom of your picture, you have Sandro Tonali coming into focus for only 4 PSG players in the outfield, which is an incredible outnumbering. The intensity that Newcastle started with was absolutely sensational. But another thing that I really want to mention and focus on is the positioning of Anthony Gordon. And what I want you to see is the side in which he is currently pressing from. Look how close he is to Marquinhos, but he's actually on Marquinhos' right side. And this means that Marquinhos then can't turn, spin and go onto his right foot. He's instead being forced to play the ball with his left foot, his weaker foot, his less dominant foot. And that is where the problem comes from. It's not only down to the positioning from the Newcastle players, but also the fact that Marquinhos is currently being forced to use his wrong foot. The ball gets played over and it gets intercepted by Bruno Guimaraes because there isn't enough height on it. The pass I don't even believe is on. But at the same time, it's down to the positioning of Anthony Gordon that makes and forces Marquinhos to play this pass. Not only down to the positioning of Sean Longstaff, Sandro Tonali ready to make that press as well, and Alexander Isak cutting off the lane in between Skriniar and himself. There are only two passes available. One is boot the ball forwards or pass back to Donnarumma. He chooses to try and play a little intricate pass with his weaker, less dominant foot, and it ends up getting intercepted. And that is where the first goal comes from. And here we have Bruno Guimaraes making that header, but just look at the amount of Newcastle players. Look at the presence. They're there. They're ready to pounce. They're ready to take this moment. Alexander Isak is ready. So is Anthony Gordon. Almiron is about to sprint into the box, and that is where the first goal happens. Almiron sprints, and that's where he makes the challenge. Isak takes his shot. Almiron is there to really finish into the bottom left-hand corner. And it's just fantastic. Anthony Gordon there as well, waiting for the rebound. The intensity from the Newcastle United side was absolutely sensational. Let's move on and have a look at the second goal. Now, there are a couple of things I also want to mention here. PSG are all over the place. But look, the ball is still in play. It's currently being chased by Bruno Guimaraes, but no PSG player is there. You're not looking at it. You're not looking at it. You're complaining to the referee about a foul. You're on the floor. You're not looking. You're not looking. Nobody is ready. But who is ready? Bruno Guimaraes. And so is the Newcastle side. Alexander Isak. The players are switched on, ready. Look, he's looking. He's looking. He's looking. All of them have eyes for the ball, ready, raring. They know the ball is still in play, and they get something from it. And Sandro Tonali, once there is another rebound, passes the ball back to Bruno Guimaraes. He actually passes here. But look at Sandro Tonali's body position. This is what I'm talking about when being extremely clever. Look at this. He's backing into the PSG player, stopping him from getting a run and stopping him from getting a block and allowing Bruno Guimaraes to really compose himself and get his cross away unchallenged. It's a brilliant piece of play that I don't think it's focused on, but Sandro Tonali does an absolutely sensational job of making Bruno Guimaraes' life that little bit easier. The ball gets dinked over the top to Dan Burn, who has a mismatch at the back post, and his height, his presence, his physicality chosen by Eddie Howe was brilliant. I actually thought that Dan Burn would have a tougher time being that little bit slower, but his athleticism and his physicality when it comes to set pieces is absolutely sensational. Newcastle with the more dominant side, Newcastle with the stronger side, and it really showed during this match. Let's move on. This is Dan Burn taking that header just brilliantly. Now, this is in the lead to the Newcastle third goal, and it's just sensational. This is putting them up to be 3-0. And now I want to focus on Sean Longstaff, but at the same time, I want to talk about the PSG players, because although Longstaff makes a brilliant run into the channel between the centre-back and the full-back, this is horrendous defending from PSG. First of all, the distance between these two is far too great. He is not defensively aware. Kylian Mbappe, out of your picture, is not defensively aware. He is not defensively aware, and it makes it so very easy. It's schoolboy stuff. The ball gets played here. Longstaff runs through. But it's so easy. Just horrendous defending, exploited by a very, very good Newcastle side. As you can see, the ball plays through. He takes the shot. It's an unfortunate deflection for Donnarumma, who should be doing better. But again, Skriniar not doing enough to block the shot, not making enough of an emphasis to try and stop Sean Longstaff from taking that shot on. He's almost inviting him to shoot at the goalkeeper, which is obviously not a good thing to be doing. Let's fast forward to the final moment, the last goal, the goal that made it 4-1 to Newcastle United. And believe it or not, in case you can't see this, this is Fabian Schär. Look how high up the pitch he is. He is currently challenging into the Paris Saint-Germain half. He wins the ball, plays a 1-2, and then gets that shot off. He encompassed with the effort, the brilliance, and the determination and the heart that Newcastle United had the entire evening. And It wasn't just the tactics, it wasn't just the ability that they had on the pitch, it was the desire that was instilled in them from their manager, who also needs to be given a massive amount of credit. Eddie Howe, he set up this team, he built this team, and he's taking them to European glory. A wonderful night for Newcastle United. I'll say it again because it needs to be said. A European masterclass. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. I would love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on Newcastle thumping PSG by 4-1. Let me know. I would love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learnt something new. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, take care.